Hello, I'm Henry, and I read a book. I read this book, Yu-Gi-Oh! R number 3 by Kazuki Takahashi and Akira Ito, and I would like to talk about it, please. Character names are an important thing. When naming a character, you need to pick a lane when it comes to style and sound, and then stick to that lane. If you don't stick to that lane and throw in a character name that doesn't match the style and sound, it can be quite noticeable. It can break immersion, your suspension of disbelief, and worse, make you go, what? Harry Strickland. There are 400 million characters in A Song of Ice and Fire, and all of them fit the style and sound established on day one. All of them, except, at least in my opinion, Harry Strickland. It's just a man's name from down the road. Strickland could work on its own with a more Westerosi feeling first name, but when combined with Harry, it sticks out like a sore thumb. Harry is a very current, contemporary, real-world name. It sticks out so much that if you didn't know, you'd be forgiven for thinking it was a Game of Thrones show exclusive name. A name not invented by the genius who wrote the books, but the two goobers who wrote the show got found out when the books ran out and basically just started writing fanfic. But no, Harry Strickland shows up in A Dance with Dragons. The name is the work of the genius. Mentioning fanfic there was not an accident though. Maybe it was a work of my genius. Because like breaking the rules of an established world that we addressed in the previous video, a name that does not fit in the world, that does not match the style and sound of the canon names around it, is another stumbling block for fanfic. Harry Strickland is one thing, but if you're writing A Song of Ice and Fire fanfic, it'd be a lot worse if you create Daenerys' long lost brother who no one's heard of, and his name's Tony Targaryen, or something with like forced cool like Drake Targaryen. Again, Yu-Gi-Oh! R isn't fanfic, but as you will have seen if you've kept up with this video series so far, the names in it are really weird. Really weird. They are so weird that in this video, on top of the upcoming fanfic bingo we will be playing with this book, we will be trying to get to the bottom of things. First though, quick thoughts on the book. This one's a little bit harder to judge because it's basically just two long duels, and while that does hit the vibe of the original Duel Monsters series where duels could last like 9 episodes, they did drag a bit here and killed what felt like a nice bit of building pace that we had at the end of the previous book. It's not really helped by the first of the two duels, the one featuring your boy Joey Wheeler, only being won by Joey after he convinces his opponent to abandon her strategy that would have won her the duel if she hadn't done so. Though Tristan does call him out on that. There is a third duel in this book, it's right at the end, but it's in a very weird, out of place extended flashback that seems to be, unless something happens in a later book, just there to set up the final duel between Yugi and the Pharaoh. There is also a surprising amount of violence in this book. A lot of people getting hit. This is a good thing because it is absolutely hilarious when Seto Kaiba walks up and smacks the main villain in the side of the head with a metal briefcase. So yeah, didn't like this one as much as the first two, especially because there is barely any Seto Kaiba in it, but it's still not too bad. Also, card inside. What was that card? It was Gauze. I don't know if I've still got it, but somewhere, either in my parents' loft or buried at the local dump, is a limited edition Gauze the Emissary of Darkness. Right, let's get to these character names. I would say there are 3 categories that the new character names in this series fall under. Fine, probably fine, and not fine. Dealing with the fine first because it's the least interesting. We have Yeiko Tenma, Gecko Tenma, and new character introed in this book, Reiko Kitamori. These all fit perfectly well in this book series, especially because all the characters use their Japanese names. So Joey Wheeler is Jonichi Katsuya, and so me, a non-Japanese person, can't really tell if there's something glaringly wrong with them, which is also the reason why I've put the next two in the probably fine category. Meiko Kato and Masumi Monomo. It could be Kato Meiko though. The whole Japanese surname before the first name thing is happening here. Either way, I think these two Japanese names are probably fine. I've done some digging, and while these names aren't all that common, It looks like they can be used as names, I think. I'm no name scientist. Pete Coppermine and Ted Benias also go here. I think Pete Coppermine is alright too. It's pretty cool actually, and unique but not ridiculous or unbelievable. And Ted Benias is sort of leaning not fine, but I think it's still probably fine. It's kind of mundane sounding, but also unique enough to be okay and not nearly as mundane as something coming up. Every other name though is not fine. And I genuinely don't think these are names from just like other cultures and I'm just being ignorant. I am positive these are just really weird choices made on the part of the writers. Deschutes Lou, Tillamook, Klamath Osler, Mendocino, Willamette, and new characters here, Richie Merst and Dupree Scott. These are very, very strange. They sound like Flanimals. They're almost like fragments of names, like Danny Ings, or like names from the Key and Peele College Bowl sketch. So what's going on with them? Well, many years ago, when I first bought these books, I actually looked these names up. Even back in 2010, I thought Deschutes Lou was a weird name. And I distinctly remember a page on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki saying that Deschutes Lou and all these other names are references to computer chips. This information isn't on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Wiki anymore. However, on the Yu-Gi-Oh! R page on standard Wikipedia, it's there and then some. There is some method behind this madness, but I don't think that makes it any less mad. According to Wikipedia, Deschutes Lou is a reference to the Deschutes River in Deschutes County, Oregon. Deschutes is also, again according to Wikipedia, the pre-release codename for, what was it? The 333 megahertz P6 Intel Pentium 2 chip. According to Wikipedia, Tillamook is a reference to Tillamook, Oregon. Tillamook is also, again, according to Wikipedia, the pre-release codename for the embedded 266 MHz Intel Pentium MMX chip. They are all like this. Nearly every name in Yu-Gi-Oh! R is a reference to a place in Oregon and the pre-release codename for a computer chip. This is insane. I understand that coming up with a bunch of new names for a bunch of new characters is hard. Maybe coming up with a bunch of new names that fit the style and sound of an established world is hard. Maybe coming up with names that have memorable or meaningful references is hard. Maybe coming up with names that just sound good and flow well is hard. So they were like, what can we take names from to save ourselves some time? Places in Oregon and microprocessors? Print it. The only name we haven't addressed yet is not fine, but for a slightly different reason. Kirk Dixon. This is such a mundane and normal name in this sea of weirdness that it might actually be the weirdest of them all. Kirk Dixon, Maximilian Pegasus, Marek Ishtar, My Valentine, and Kirk Dixon. It's not very congruous, is it? Speaking of which, this was our bingo card of fanfic tropes from the last video. Let's make a new one. Oh, new card. Let's just quickly run through each point. Incongruous. I've been talking about this in relation to tone and theme not matching the story proper, but here I think we might be addressing the name situation. A new character related or connected to an established character. I mentioned an instance of this earlier. Danny's long-lost brother, Tony, doesn't fit in the chronology. Can your story physically take place in the time window it is set in? Names from mythology. Do not call your squadron of cool female warrior characters Valkyries. Don't do it. Time travel, still don't do this either. Off-model. Established characters that appear in your story should look like they are supposed to look. Parallel universe versions of characters. Remember that weird Naruto movie? Yes, that. Over-designed new characters. Belts and swords and impossibly awesome hair. Edgy. I mentioned the violence in this book earlier. That's more on the doofy side. Edgy is more like people's limbs getting pulled off while someone laughs maniacally. New characters forming romantic relationships with established characters. Everyone loves your new character. They know exactly what to say and what to do, when to say it and when to do it. Flashbacks. You've got all this new lore and backstory you need to relay to the audience. How do you do it? Context clues and subtle dialogue? No. Flashbacks. Quips. Bathos will only take you so far. Mary Sue. 2 words have never caused so much discord. Angst. Make it real sad, make everyone real sorry. Plot twists. They need to be set up properly and make sense in the grand scheme of things. In fanfic, sometimes they aren't and they don't. A twist on the current powers / magic / science. It's not as groundbreaking as it seems if your character's Iron Man suit is blue and gold. Right, that's this video's card. Let's play fanfic bingo. So, to address the incongruousness, the weird Oregon / computer chip names have now tipped the scales and are so strange that I would now consider them incongruous. Mendocino ain't sharing no canon with Rex Raptor. We do have some new characters acquainted with an established character. Richie Merst and Dupree Scott know Bandit Keith and he knows them. They've got some history it seems, and that's good enough for me. Still on the fence with this story fitting in the chronology, but there's nothing in this book that tips me either way. No solid time frames on how long this story will take, so we'll leave this unticked for now. No new names from mythology and no time travel. Off model though. Look at the cover of the book real quick for me. Let's just so the light isn't reflecting on it. Do you see it? Yugi has green eyes. Yugi's eyes are sort of depicted as a pinkish purpley red, but here they are green. This wouldn't be so bad as this is a black and white manga after all. However, the previous two covers got it right, and then this one changed it. No parallel universe versions of characters, and our new characters, Reiko Kitamori, Richie Merst, and Dupree Scott, aren't all that over-designed if you ask me. Richie's hair does teeter on the too much, but to have visibly over-designed hair in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a high bar to get over. Edginess is, as always, brought in the bucket load by our new villain, Yeiko Tenma, never change Yeiko. I am tempted to tick off a romantic relationship between a new character and an established character, as Joey and Tristan both blush and show visible attraction to our new girl Reiko Kitamori. This will be another one I sit myself on the fence for and don't tick anything off. As I mentioned before, we get this incredibly out of place flashback for the last, I want to say, 6th of the book. It is so long and, as far as I can tell, serves no purpose other than showing us that the Pharaoh does consider little Yugi a worthy opponent. I'm hoping to be proved wrong here. I want the characters introed in this flashback to become relevant, please. A lot of censored swearing, but no quips, and Gecko Tenma, our leading candidate to become a Mary Sue, hasn't become one yet. Our new man Dupree Scott does bring some angst though, an angry angst over Gecko's sort of sad, apologetic angst from the previous book. Plot twist, there isn't one here that I could see. There isn't like a third Tenma brother yet. But we do get a twist on the science, magic / powers. Bingo! A diagonal line. There's a bingo. We did it. Should we just end the series now? No. What's the twist though? Well, Richie Merst has a black dual disc. This is back before all the custom dual discs started showing up in like GX and beyond. Your characters have a standard dual disc, well my original character has a black one. How cool is that? This would probably tick the edgy box too. So yeah, we got a bingo. We'll see if we can get another one with a fresh card in the next video. I opened this video saying that character names are very important, and I hope I've demonstrated how awkward and janky things can get if you get it wrong. Even officially licensed products can get it wrong and end up feeling like fanfic. So if you're working on a fanfic, don't gloss over the importance of your characters' names. If you put some genuine thought and care into making your new characters' names fit the established style and sound, you'll have one foot in the door already. Hello, thanks a lot for getting to the end of the video. Like and subscribe. Beardless variant. It's a good thing you didn't catch me in the moustache variant. I was gonna keep it, but then I realized with my glasses I looked like I was wearing a Groucho Marx disguise, so that had to go. Next video, proper book one. I'll see you there.